So I'm going to do kind of a quickie rolling session today to show you how to get the hot spots at home. You'll need like just the size of a sticky mat on the floor. You don't necessarily need your mat for this, depending on the surface. But if you have your mat, go ahead and roll that out. And then you'll need two balls. I am a huge fan. I absolutely love the yoga tune-up therapy balls. You can get these through Yoga Tune-Up. You can get these on Amazon, but you could also certainly use whatever you have around the house. If you have tennis balls or racket balls or lacrosse balls, be resourceful and sort of use what you have around you. And if you enjoy it or you find that those are like too hard or too soft, I do recommend investing in a set of therapy, tune-up therapy balls. They're great and they're inexpensive. If you have a yoga block, you can have a yoga block handy as well. Um, and yeah, here we go. Can start by sitting on some support blanket, a pillow if you have it, or move that stuff to the side. I'm going to take one of the balls and place it right underneath the back of my calf, the lower leg. It's not, and again, with rolling, it's not an exact science. You kind of are just looking for feedback. We're dialing our awareness of senses inward and listening for our body to give us cues regarding more or less pressure. It's important not to be too intense or or too aggressive, or this could actually backfire. We want to release tension, not make it so intense that we add tension. So I'm just in the back of the calf, back of the lower leg and the calf muscles, sort of rolling around here. You can go up and down or side to side. You might take it a little lower for another back of the lower leg geolocation. See how it feels lower down on the calves. A little higher up maybe towards the back of the knee. Ooh, have it in there. 3 spots in the lower leg, a few breaths each. Notice what you feel, how it feels, and where you feel it. And then you can remove it and notice, feel if there's already a bit of a difference from side to side. Then place the ball underneath the other leg. I'm starting more near the top of the calf muscles this time. Can be more still and let the weight of the leg sort of soften and settle over the therapy ball. Can be more dynamic, little movements or bigger movements, sort of combing across the muscle fibers. Breathing, noticing perhaps if you feel a difference in sensation or intensity from side to side. Find another spot lower or higher on the back of your second leg. Whew. Finding this to be much more intense on my right side than my left side today for some reason. Maybe one more location on the back of the right leg. We're going to sort of hit most of the hot spots in today's session. And then the key is to kind of take what you find useful, meaningful, valuable, and spend more time on those areas throughout your day or on a daily basis. Okay. Feel the difference if there is any, the calves. Okay, come to lie on your back. Can place the therapy ball right behind the back of the knee and close the knee. Call this the knee chill. And then you'll interlace your fingers across the front of the shin. And rather than draw the knee in, sort of press the knee away from you and hug the shin towards the thigh. You could flex and point the foot. Might even do circles one direction and then the other. Breathing. Notice if the ball is more to the inner knee pit, middle of the knee pit, or outer knee pit. It's tight quarters in the back of the knee, but there's actually a few little physio-geolocations in here as well. So mine is sort of wedged into the inner knee pit. I'm going to open and take it a little wider and then close the knee. Whew. And same deal, interlace my hands across the shin. Rather than letting the knee pull in, I press it away and breathe. Maybe flex and point the foot. And circle the ankle one direction and then the other. Whew. And one more spot. I'll open the knee and I'm going to take the ball a little actually higher up my thigh in the middle, sort of still near the knee pit, but more towards the top of the knee pit, and close. And then interlace my hands across the front of the shin, point my knee more towards the sky than the chin, and point and flex and point and circle one direction and then the other. And release. You can feel the difference from side to side. Feel it not only in the calf muscles in the back of the knee, but even also up in my hip a little bit. Feels more open. Second side, gonna place the ball in the back of the knee and close the knee. Interlace my fingers across the front of the shin, and rather than pulling the knee in, press the knee away. I can stay right here if it's a lot. And if you want more then you can add flexing the foot and pointing the foot. Maybe 3 or 5 times, and then circling one direction 3 to 5 times, and then the other direction 3 to 5 times. Whew. Notice where the ball is in the back of the leg and prepare to adjust it. Adjust the location, just like a micro adjustment, maybe more inner, maybe more outer, maybe a little higher up the leg, up the back of the thigh, which when you close the knee will be lower in the calf muscles. Higher in the hamstrings, back of the thigh will equal lower in the calf muscles, back of the lower leg. Again, flex and point 3 to 5 times if that's appropriate for you, or just be more still and breathing. So stillness is more sustained pressure. Movement creates more dynamic pressure. Neither is better than the other. It's just a matter of sensing what feels the most appropriate for you for the release of tension. Circle one direction and then the other. Whew. And then one more spot. I'm going to take the ball a little higher up the thigh so that it lands lower in the calf. Squeeze the front of the shin towards the back of the thigh, point the knee towards the ceiling, and then flex and point. I'm going to do that 3 times. And I'm going to circle the foot out 3 times and in 3 times. And release. Can roll onto your belly now. And I'm going to place the ball right above the knee at the base of the thigh, right above the knee at the base of the thigh. I can be propped up on my forearms, or feel free to make a pillow with your hands and arms. And bend the leg and straighten it slowly at your own pace. Can be more still here for sustained pressure. Let the leg be heavy, or just bending and straightening again slowly at your own pace. And then you can find the place between bent and straight that feels tolerable, and take the knee wide to the right or to the side, depending on what leg you're on. And then roll the knee to the midline. Let the foot fall away from the midline. So we're rolling from inseam to outseam, the bottom front of the thigh, slowly at our own pace, maybe 3 to 5 more times, in and out. Breathing. It shouldn't be so intense that it takes your breath away or makes it hard to breathe. If so, maybe just ease up or sit this one out. This one used to be way too intense for me in the beginning. Also, maybe putting a blanket could help alleviate some of the intensity. Come back to center. You can either manually adjust the ball, move it higher up the thigh, or scoot your body backwards so that the ball comes more to the middle of the thigh, more right at the middle of the thigh. And again, bending and straightening the leg slowly at your own pace. The foot can just be relaxed. You can be propped on your forearms or make a pillow with your hands. Notice what you feel, how it feels, where you feel it. And then find the place between bent and straight that you can tolerate. And again, take the knee wide to the side. And then roll the knee to the midline. Let the foot open wide. Back and forth, just as we did at the lower thigh, but now at the middle of the thigh. Notice if it feels more or less intense here. Knee wide, roll to the inseam. Knee to the midline, roll to the outseam. Breathing. 2 or 3 more times together on your own like that. Come back to the middle. And then again, you can continue to scooch your body backwards so that the ball rolls up the thigh higher, or just manually bring the ball more towards the top of the thigh, towards the top of the thigh. Let the leg be heavy. Bend and straighten slowly at your own pace. Can stay here. And if you want more, if the body wants more, listen to your body. Your body doesn't lie. If your body wants more, you can find the place between bent and straight that feels manageable. And same deal, take the knee wide, knee to the midline, rolling from inner to outer thigh. Three to 5 times together on your own. Whew. Really getting into that outer thigh as best you can, the TFL. Oh. And come back to center. Remove the ball. Make a pillow with your hands. And notice if it feels different from side to side, if and how. My right leg, the leg that I just rolled, feels heavier, more grounded, more spacious. My left side still feels like a little lifted and tight. Take the ball underneath the base of the left thigh, above the knee. Could feel very different from side to side, so just be aware of that. You can make a pillow with your hands and bend And straighten the left leg slowly at your own pace, or just let the weight of the leg release into the support of the ball. So more stillness is sustained pressure or more dynamic movement. You do you. And then find the place between bent and straight that you can sustain. You can stay here. Take the knee wide. Therapy ball rolls to the inseam. Take the knee to the midline. Foot widens. Therapy ball rolls to the outseam. 3 more times from inseam to outseam, slowly at your own pace. Come back to the middle and either scooch your body backwards so that the tennis ball rolls north, or manually bring the tennis ball higher up the thigh, more to the middle of your second leg, middle of the thigh. Bend and straighten the leg slowly at your own pace. Try to soften the jaw and the face and the throat. And then when you're ready, 3 to 5 times, take the knee wide, roll to the inseam. Take the knee to the midline, roll to the outseam. Back and forth from inseam to outseam. Scoot yourself backwards or roll the ball higher up the thigh, or a little combination of both. Stretch back through the leg. Press the top of the foot down to press the top of the thigh into the ball. Then bend the leg. And straighten. You can find a place to sustain pressure, or bend and straighten the leg slowly at your own pace a few times. And then if and as you're ready, knee wide, foot crosses the midline, roll to the inseam. Knee to the midline, foot widens out, roll to the outseam. Back and forth near the top of the thigh, 3 to 5 times at your own pace. Go slow. Combing across the muscle fibers, starting to see yourself more clearly, more deeply, how and where we accommodate tension in our bodies. Taking the time to manage our tension. And come back to center, remove the ball. And feel the difference if there is any. Okay, another one I don't do often in class, but I really like is to get into the inner thigh a little deeper. This isn't for everyone, but it'll look like this. Can rest on one side and bring your knee in line with your hip in front of you. And then you'll place the block underneath the thigh for support. Depending on hip mobility, you might need more than one block here. And then you can place the ball between the block and the inner thigh and breathe. You can stay here. You can even here play with bending and straightening the leg. Notice, and even kind of this way with the knee bent, rolling up and down the block. Just notice what you feel and where you feel it. And take the block closer to you to take the ball higher up the inner thigh. And if you don't have a lot of pressure in here, now that I have the ball wedged between the inner thigh and the block, I can actually start to roll on towards my belly, and that'll create more pressure between the thigh and the ball. Whew. And you can stay here or again, bending and straightening. I think I'm just going to go more stillness here. Whew. Breathing. And lift the leg. And we'll do second side. You can just roll onto your other side. I'm going to switch directions just so that you can still kind of see what I'm doing. So rolling onto your second side, you can place the block in front of you. And again, you can take the block on its lowest height or second to lowest height here. Just try it both ways, depending on even like the width of your hips will make a difference there. So no right or wrong, just trying to find and stack the deck in your own favor. And then you can go for sustained pressure, or even here, bend and straighten the leg. Can roll up and down the inseam of the leg. Three to 5 times. And then if you want to go higher up, bring the block closer, ball higher up the thigh. You can be right here if that's a lot. If you want more, you roll more towards your belly, just as much as feels appropriate for you. And again, either more sustained pressure or bending and straightening the leg. Go higher towards the front of the inseam, towards the back of the inseam. Breathing. Call it one more breath. Then roll onto your side. Scooch onto your back and locate your other ball. Knees bent, feet flat on the floor. Where you're going to place the balls now right underneath the top of the butt cheeks. The top of the butt cheek. So this is my lower back. This is the middle of my butt cheek. I'm going right below my lower back to the top of the butt cheek. The balls can be hips width apart, so that means more like sitting bone distance apart or hip bone distance apart. Again, doesn't have to be an exact science, just follow the feelings and sensations and find the place that it feels not the most intense. And you can be right here with the feet on the ground, just kind of pushing and pulling my feet frontwards and backwards to rock on the balls a little bit. Can bring the right foot off the floor and breathe. Right foot down, left foot off the floor and breathe. Keep both feet on the ground if that's too intense, or if lifting one foot at a time was not too intense, you can bring both feet off the floor. The key is to keep the pubic bone moving towards the floor. Breathing. Take the feet as wide as the mat. Swagger your hips to the left. Swagger your hips to the right. Swagger your hips to the left. Let the knees fall more to the right. Lift the knees through center. Swagger your hips to the right. Let the knees fall more to the left. Again, notice if you feel a difference here from side to side. So we're going from butt crack to outer hip, greater trochanter. Breathing. And as the balls get further apart, the more like further apart where it no longer feels like they're underneath you so much, you can let the weight of the legs get heavier to that side, and the ball will go on the other side. The ball is kind of going right in here. Breathing. Whew. So now my left hip is completely off the left ball, and my outer right butt cheek and hip is completely into the right ball. And then I come to center, and you'll see that the balls are kind of wedged right up into the outer hips. I can bring my feet together and let my knees open. And if you don't feel much there, you maybe just scooch them in a little bit closer and go for it. A little bit closer until you feel something. And then knees together. Lift the hips. Remove the balls. Feel the difference there. And then stand through the feet. Place the therapy balls again underneath the buttocks, but this time instead of being at the top of the butt cheeks, be more to the middle of the butt cheeks. Whew, more to the middle of the butt cheeks. Notice what a difference makes. The tendency is for the pubic bone to pull up. Send the pubic bone down towards the floor to kind of stretch the space between your pubic bone and your navel here. It could be right here. Can wiggle your hips a little bit from side to side, or again, pull and push through your feet for a little gentle rocking on the balls. Side to side, little circles if that feels appropriate. And then again, maybe lift the left foot off the floor. Left foot down, reach the right foot up. Both feet down if either of those were too intense, or both feet up. Resting my hands on my thighs on my hands here. Feet to the floor. Heel toe the feet as wide as the mat. Swagger hips to the left, knees to the right. Knees through the middle, swagger hips to the right, knees to the left. Come through center, one or two more times to each side. The therapy balls are maybe not traveling as much here as they were a little bit higher up. It's fine. Then come back to center and cross the right ankle over the left leg. And take the right, actually take both knees towards the right. Whew. Breathing. And uncross the legs, both feet on the ground. Cross left ankle over right thigh. You can stay here if you want more. Let both knees fall a little bit more to the left. Uncross. Roll this time really swagger the hips to the left, roll all the way. Hips to the left, knees to the right. So the ball rolls into the outer hip again. Breathing. Come through center, swagger hips all the way to the right. So the bottom ball rolls out to the outer left hip. Knees to the left. Breathing. Back to center. Can feel the hips on the ground. Stand through the feet, lift the hips up. This time, take the balls a little bit lower still. See if you can find the place right above the sitting bones, right above the sitting bones. So more towards the bottom of the butt cheeks, hip distance apart. And then when you point your pubic bone towards the floor there, the sitting bones can actually like wrap around the front of the therapy balls like talons. And you can stay right here. Whew, a little bit of swagger maybe. And if you want more, this is like a huge big if, because there's, like nerves and shit that pass through here. You can do one foot at a time off the floor. Keep sending your pubic bone down rather than letting it lift up, or maybe both feet. Press hands into thighs, thighs into hands, pubic bone towards the floor. Breathing. and release. Notice how your butt feels. Knees bent, feet flat on the floor. We are going to place the therapy balls right underneath the top of the upper back between the shoulder blades. So you're going to sort of wedge them right in here. So notice that it's on either side of the spine, one on either side of the spine, and in between the shoulder blades. We don't want ball on bone, okay, or ball on spine. They're going to be like wheels on either side of the spine and in between the shoulder blades. So the shoulder blade, the space between the shoulder blades and the spine create tracks for the therapy balls. So therapy balls right in between the tops of the shoulder blades, right in between the tops of the shoulder blades. And you can be here, resting the arms down to the sides or hands on the low belly in contact with the breath, or you can reach your arms to the sky and breathe. You can reach the right arm out of the socket and let it plug in. Left arm out of the socket and let it plug in. Can let the arms move like seaweed in the ocean, just kind of organically. Reach both arms towards 1 and 2 o'clock. And both arms towards 10 and 11 o'clock. Notice what you feel, how it feels, where you feel it. Maybe the arms come overhead. No right or wrong. Just feeling what you feel in the upper back, what can't be seen but can be felt. And if you want more pressure here, it's a big if, and you have a block handy, you can place a block on its lowest height right underneath your hips, and it'll put more weight on the balls there. So that's always an option if you need and want more. Unplug the arms. Replug the arms. And then release the arms down to the side. Stand through the feet to lift the hips up. Push through the legs to roll your body north. The therapy balls will roll like an inch or two or a vertebra by two down the upper back. So the balls are still in between the shoulder blades, just they're now more in between the middle of the shoulder blades. You can either lower your hips to the floor, or if you have the block there, you got to scoot the block up so that as you lower the hips land on the block. You have arms down to the sides here, hands to the hips or low belly, or once again, reach your arms up to the sky and breathe into the upper back. You can unplug the arms and breathe, and even here, lean and reach a little bit from side to side. Come back through center, let the arm bones plug in, and just finding and noticing which of these different various movements feels the most valuable to you, and just, sticking with that. The arms plugged in, maybe leaning from side to side, reaching from side to side. Another one of my favorites is to cross the right arm under the left arm. Reach for the balls behind you, underneath your back, and wriggle from side to side. Breathe. And switch the cross of the arms and wriggle from side to side. Notice if there's more or less tension on one side compared to the other without judgment, just noticing what lives where in our bodies and how that awareness will help us to better manage our tension, to better manage ourselves and our energy. Reach the arms up, float them down, and one more time, stand through the feet, lift the hips up, push through the legs, and roll the body north until the balls are right in between the bottom tips of the shoulder blades. You can lower your hips to the floor here, which might make it more or less intense. Or if it's too intense with your hips on the floor, it might actually be less intense with your hips on a block here, or vice versa. It just sort of depends on your structure. So for me, this is less intense with the support of the block, and this is more intense without it, but not too intense. I kind of like it. And all the same options. You can let the arms sort of move organically like seaweed, or you can roll from one side to the other. You can reach one arm overhead, the other arm overhead, maybe both arms overhead, maybe. And then my personal favorite, this time I'll start with left arm under right and wrap my arms around myself. Give yourself a great big hug and wriggle in the ways that just naturally feel good. And switch the cross of the arms, so other arm on top and wriggle. And then release the arms down to the sides, and slowly, if you're on a block, put your block to the side. Slowly start to work your hips, walk your hips towards your heels. And you'll notice that the balls are starting to roll north. They're making the return journey from the bottom tips of the shoulder blades back to the tops of the shoulder blades. Take it slow, especially if you notice anything that you missed on the way south. You might want to pause there and sort of explore with the various arm movements. And when you get all the way back to the tops of the shoulders, where it feels like there's not even that much pressure on the balls are kind of wedged in the base of the neck, tops of the shoulders, no longer underneath you, sort of wedged right in between the base of the neck, the top of the shoulders. Reach the arms up to the sky. Press the center back of the skull down. Lengthen from hips to armpits. So I'm trying to lift my shoulders up into the balls and plug the arm bones back into the earth. And now I'm going to stand through the feet, lift the hips up. And you don't have to go for your deepest bridge pose ever. You're just using the lifting of your hips to utilize your legs, push your feet down and forward to drive the upper traps up into the balls. Push the feet down and forward to press the upper traps into the balls. And on an exhalation, lower the hips. Release the arms, remove the balls, one in each hand. And feel the upper back now soften into the earth. A moment to notice and occupy all the newfound space in the upper back, shoulders, back of the neck. Notice if the jaw is even a little softer. Now with one ball in each hand, if you have the therapy balls, it's awesome to be able to tote them. This is their tote. And if you put them in the tote here, when you roll the back of the skull, it works really well. If you need a set of therapy balls, just message me. We have a bunch at the studio, or look for them on Amazon. And you're going to place the toted therapy balls right underneath the back of the skull. And if you have tennis balls or other balls that don't have a tote, I used to use tennis balls all the time, very religiously. I would just hold them together here. So I would just have my hands here for support. So if you have the tote, you might not need to use your hands. Cool. If you don't have the tote, you might just have to create some manual support with your hands here. So I have the balls right underneath the center back of the skull, and you might want to go like a little bit lower, like just beneath the center back of the skull, and nod your head yes. And nod your head no. And nod your head no to the right, and on the right side, nod yes. And if the balls are not toted, even if you have the tote, if you're not using it, it's nice because you can adjust the width between the balls, which is really cool. Come back to center, nod your head no to the left, and on the left side, nod yes. Come back to center, nod yes. Take the balls a little bit lower towards the back of the skull, more towards the base of the neck. I'm sorry, not the base of the neck, more towards the base of the skull, top of the neck, right above the occiput, right above the base of the skull. And nod your head yes. And nod your head no, from side to side. And on the right side, nod yes. On the left side, nod yes. And back to center, nod yes. And maybe one more time, a little bit lower, right into the occiput. You can nod yes, no. No to the right, and on the right side, nod yes. And no to the left, and on the left side, nod yes. And to center, yes. And release the balls to the side and let the weight of the head be heavy in the earth. Keep the knees bent, the feet flat on the floor. Or if it feels okay on your lower back, you can stretch the legs out long, let the feet roll open. Can let the hands rest on the low belly for a more grounding effect. Feel the rise and fall of the breath in your hands, in your belly. Or you can release your arms down to the sides, palms up, in a gesture of more energetic receptivity. So again, and always making a choice that suits you where you are as you are and cultivates more of the energy you feel you need in this moment. With your eyes closed, let the front body soften and settle into the back body. And let the back body soften and settle into the unconditional support of Mother Earth. Close your eyes and look for your breath. About 5 times, be with your breath. Slow down the beginning of your inhale. Trace it in and down. Feel the belly expand as you fill up. And trace the currents of the exhalation from inside out. Feel the belly soften as you press the breath from inside out, far beyond yourself. As you trace the breath out and suspend your awareness between the exhale and the inhale, can take sort of the 10,000 foot view from above down on yourself, resting peacefully. Trace the breath in and down. See yourself from inside out, radiating with light, the luminosity of your heart. And trace the breath out from the 10,000 foot view from above. See yourself filled and surrounded by the light, the luminosity, the glow of your own heart, your own splendor. It fills you and surrounds you. Trace the breath in, let it deepen you and fill you up. The light gets bigger and brighter. And trace the breath out. Three more times, just like that, together on our own. deepening, the power of our luminosity expanding, the way our luminosity radiates from inside out so that it surrounds not only ourselves but fills the space we occupy and surrounds the space we occupy physically and even mentally. So, can we send our light out to fill and surround our home, our family, our tribe, our neighborhood, our city, our state, our country, our continent, the world, the globe, the planet. And then locate yourself again somewhere in this huge sphere of splendor. Call yourself back to yourself, wiggling toes and fingers, stretching arms and legs. And when you're ready, bend your legs and feel both feet on the ground. Take a moment to call yourself down to earth and back to reality to connect to the beauty, to the brilliance that is always present within and beyond ourselves. Keeping our awareness connected to the intrinsic and extrinsic beauty and brilliance of ourselves and the world. We roll to one side. Compress through your hands. Come into a comfortable seated posture, kneeling or cross-legged. Take a moment to bring your hands together before your heart in Anjali Mudra, in a gesture of sincere self-reverence for the splendor, the beauty, the brilliance of our hearts, always present, intrinsically peaceful and utterly powerful, in a gesture that offers this aspect of ourselves before us as a guide. So that as we stretch our practice into the activities of our lives, we bring with us more conscious beauty, more conscious brilliance, more conscious splendor to those in the world around us. As you bow to your heart with all my heart, I bow to you. Thank you for choosing to be here and do this. Namaste.